Go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's meditation class, which is, there's two people in the waiting room, letting them in. Lovely. Which is meditation on the breath, and it's 4-part meditation taster course, which we're using resources and lessons which you'll also be able to teach yourself once you've graduated from the Guided Minds Meditation Teachers Training Programme, which starts in October and is available for enrolment on the Northern College of Clinical Hypnotherapy website. I think everybody's in now. Beautiful. Last week we had a lovely meditation on the 7-point posture meditation, and what that was, I'm going to turn those off because it's making my camera go funny. I said I was going to try and bear with the illuminations, but I can't. 7-point posture meditation, where we started with a body scan, moving through from our feet, legs, arms, hands, neck and shoulders, back, head and face, and it was really a lovely meditation, and I invited you all to practice with that meditation during the week. So if anybody was here last week and managed to practice that, you can give me a thumbs up in the chat box so that I know that you're there and you may have had a go at it. And if anybody would like to share their experience with that from last week, then you're very welcome to. It was a really great meditation, and you can catch up on it because the video is available on the college website and it's also available on YouTube. So if you want to go back and see last week's session, you can go back and watch that, just as you'll be able to watch this session forward as well. We were also talking lots and lots last week about making meditation a healthy habit. And I went through what my meditations habits were when I first started meditation. You know, getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning every day for half an hour to do something was really, really difficult to start with, particularly as I couldn't really see much of a benefit to doing it for quite a while. It took a few months, you know, at least 6 or 7 months before I actually got the benefit of meditating first thing in the morning. So that habit that I kept with, persevered with, eventually paid off massively, because it ended up being my morning meditations which helped me share a more peaceful and calm vibration with everybody through the day. You see, when you take that time in the morning for yourself and you cordon off some time for you, which is your meditation time, it means that you're making yourself a priority first thing in the morning before you do anything else. And that really does help you. It pays off during the day when you're interacting with other people and when you're sharing the same energy that you've picked up during the morning with everybody during the day. It's a really beautiful thing. So unlike resting the mind, meditation is practicing concentration and focus to take control of a chaotic mind. So I know often when we wake up, we have a huge alarm that rings and it alarms us to having something to do. Well, actually, if you wake up with the alarm and then you actually take yourself some time to calm down, after that, then you're prepared to manage everything in a calm and really centered and balanced way. And I always say to people, there's no point in being late and stressed. Why don't you just be late and calm? You can choose that bit. Sometimes you can't choose what you have ahead of you in the day, but you can always choose the way that you're going to deal with that and how you'll carry yourself through that day. And so the more we can create a habit out of meditation, the better we'll be able to deal with whatever life throws at us. It doesn't mean we're going to have a trouble-free life, but it does give us access to states that will help us work through the stress for our greater benefit. It's also benefiting greatly those around us. So at first, your meditation practice can feel forced and unnatural. That's because it's something new for you. But you will very quickly understand that this new thing that you're doing is benefiting you greatly. Like I said last week, my morning meditations were the most difficult to get used to, but my evening meditations, I was like, wow, I'm like loving this meditation at night just before I go to bed. And quite soon that love of meditation became the same for my morning meditation. So I had that feeling of great joy and calm and peace all bundled together from the morning meditation going forward. So the best way to go about getting this habit is to set up the practice that fits into your daily routine. And I've got something written down as an example called RPM. And I don't know if anyone knows what that means, but what it is rise, P, meditate. So yes, get up out of bed. Prepare yourself for a meditation session. You will need perhaps to go and have a glass of water, or have a cup of tea if you need a cup of tea. Then anything that you need to do in the morning, have your ablutions dealt with before you sit down for that time with yourself and your meditation practice. It really does help ensure that distractions are minimized, because when you do start your meditation practice, especially if you meditate in a group, leaving the meditation hall to go for a pee is usually like a really embarrassing thing. You can be sitting down. I suppose it's like any meeting. When you realize you need a pee, you hold it in for as long as you can, and then you realize you're not meditating. There's nobody anywhere getting any peace and calm from the meditation that you're doing. So I do recommend that you make sure that you've been in to sort out your natural functions before you start your meditation in a group, or otherwise it's best for you. Yes, it does also reduce stress as well when you prepare for the meditation session. So yes, do rise out of bed. Yes, do go and do whatever you need to do after you've been asleep, and then have your meditation space ready. So do create a shrine, a display, somewhere that's made for you to sit and practice your meditation. So I've got incense sticks on at the moment. I've got a candle lit, all things that I'm just used to setting up when I'm preparing for meditation. So what do we think about the length of time that we're going to start to meditate for when we first begin? Well, when I started to meditate, it was 5 minutes. And I was really aspirational. I had a lot of enthusiasm for meditation. So I did what the teacher said not to do and jumped in with half-hour meditations. But I loved it. And that's how I found my way through it, to sit still for 30 minutes with a candle or with a mantra. I just found it so amazing to relax and unwind that much. But 30 minutes isn't a must. 5 minutes, 2 minutes is just as good, because the practice is what matters. So as long as you are intentionally practicing meditation, you've made that time and you've begun to build the habit that you can manage in your life. So I would recommend to start off with 5 minutes if you're not used to meditation. If you are used to meditation and you've got a great practice already going, then you'll know how long you can manage your meditation practice for. So I would say whatever you want to be able to meditate for, however long you do want to be able to meditate for. And I've done 8-hour meditations, I've done 12-hour meditations with groups that I've worked with. Take the regular meditation time that you want to do and start with half in it. So if you want to meditate for 10 minutes every day, then just half it and get through that 5-minute meditation, making sure that you're really practicing a discipline of being engaged in the meditation practice for those 5 minutes. And be honest with yourself, because shopping lists, buying something from Temu and what you're going to have for breakfast can often derail our meditation practice. Or even watching the smoke come off the incense stick and waiting for it to burn. Make sure that your practice, that 5 minutes practice that you're setting yourself, is genuinely 5 minutes of being engaged with meditation. My mic might not be picking me up. Let me move closer a bit. So we've got something in Buddhist teachings which is called the middle road. And the middle road is about not overdoing it and not underdoing it. I know there's a lot of imagery about the perfect sitar with only 3 strings. When one string is played, it's too low. Another string is played, it's too high. And the middle string is played and it's perfectly balanced for everyone who hears it. So the idea is to make it a natural, seamless part of your day rather than a huge event during the day. That means you're shifting a lot around. You don't want to get discouraged if you haven't received miraculous visions or high spiritual messages. You really just need to be focusing in on your body and being grounded when you begin meditation, because learning how to be grounded and inside your body is key to then being able to receive higher revelations about yourself, to connect to the highest part of your own psyche or the highest part of spirituality that you consider. You really need to be grounded enough to be able to receive that. So in the beginning, we're just disciplining the mind, and that's no easy trick because the mind is constantly looking for something to do. But we want to enjoy it. So making sure that we're comfortable is very important. So we have practiced the 7-point posture last week, and it's really good. I recommend if you didn't attend the class last week, you go back and have a look at the video for that. It's how to sit, making sure that your hips and your knees are aligned. If you're sitting on the floor and you're cross-legged, making sure that you're comfortable enough and that you are sitting on a cushion or something to have your pelvis raised and slightly tilted so that you're sitting with a very natural spine. And just as I start to discuss this, we will move into a meditation practice. So do follow along with the posture discussion that I'll go through now. So it's making sure that the feet are, if you've got cross legs, the feet are firmly planted and secure. If you're sitting down, making sure that both of your feet are on the floor. And then moving up to make sure that your knees are comfortable, they're not overstretching. If you are sitting cross-legged, you can use yoga blocks to balance your knees on to make sure that you're comfortable enough to hold the position. If you're sitting on a chair, then please do sit on a cushion or a yoga block to make sure that your hips are in line with or just slightly above your knees. That gives you a brilliant spinal alignment, the alignment that's perfect and that's right for you. So I'm sitting on a yoga block now, and it's brought my hips into line with my knees. And I can feel my spine is much freer. My back is long and lengthened. My shoulders have automatically gone into a more natural position. And the image that I used last week was of having all of those pebbles balanced on top of each other on a beach. That's how the human skeleton can balance itself without effort, without any need to engage muscles to hold it up. And that's also where we get props from, the yoga props. So if it's not entirely possible for you to remain upright whilst not holding on to anything, then give yourself some scaffolding. Get the yoga props out. Make sure that you're feeling in a really natural, long state of sitting. And mindfulness is really associated with the breathwork meditation that we're going to do this evening. And mindfulness is a key word these days, but Eastern cultures have had mindfulness integrated with their spiritual practices from day dot. And it's also from these Eastern practices that mindfulness has been, abstracted to be a standalone practice, and it's an amazing practice to introduce people to having a greater practice of controlling their mind. And all mindfulness is meditation in varied forms, but not all meditation is mindfulness. And by building a habit of meditation, we're also increasing our mindfulness and starting to live more in the present moment where there's no stress. So stress only occurs when we attach emotions to something from the past or project into the future. And I always like to share the visualization of the figure of 8 for this one. When we're worried about the future, we're right over here on the figure of 8. And then when we're ruminating on the past, we're over at the other end. To be present and to be in the still point is to be in the center of that figure of 8. And that's the place of stillness and calm, the neutral place that we look to be in meditation. And one lovely, lovely way to do that is to do a meditation with the breath. Does anybody have any experience with meditating with the breath who's here now? Yes, go on, Amanda. There might be other hands up, but I can't see everyone.
Quite a bit of experience, but how I've really benefited from using the breath is to help me to feel more positive and to feel more in control. I'm a recovered drug addict and alcoholic, and when I was in my early recovery, all of these emotions that I'd been suppressing for many years came up, and I didn't know what to do, and I felt angry and I felt frustrated and I felt irritated. There were moments of extreme joy as well, but everything just felt really loud and really overwhelming. And just bringing myself back to the present moment and using the breath to help me to do that was such a healing balm. Every single day I was able to just go, oh, it's all getting a bit much, and I was able just to go, okay, just focus on the breath, just focus on your breathing, you're going to be fine. And it just gave me like a point of focus to come back to that was in the present moment.
Yeah,
I also find that with the inhale, I can choose what I want to bring in, like a quality that I'm needing today. Like I need a bit of love for myself, so I'm going to breathe that in. And if I'm feeling a bit, I can kind of use the exhale, like to just let it go. So I find that the kind of breathing in life, breathing out death kind of thing that we're going to look at as we go into the course is really helpful. To connect with states, emotions, qualities that I want to connect with, and to kind of let go of things that I'm clinging on to that are actually just causing me loads of turmoil and discomfort and pain. So for me, in my personal life, those were the ways that I've really benefited from using the breath. But it's just great as throughout the day just to return as a point of, oh, life's getting a bit in the way today. Woo, it's all got a bit crazy. Just bring back to the breath, bring back to that point of focus. So there you go. That's how it helps me. But I mean, I could talk all night about breath meditations because it's fab stuff, isn't it?
And for me, I found an absolute magic in breath, just like that, Amanda, the same thing, because when I learned the journey and the anatomy and physiology of breath, I thought, wow, this is not boring. This is so magical that I took it as a child and I had this image of breath, this magical thing called oxygen comes into the body and then it goes out of the body as something else. Okay. And usually when we only have a couple of seconds to think about our breath and we say, okay, take a deep breath, we breathe in and we breathe out. What happens in between is an absolutely spellbinding process. So there is a receptor in the brain, a magical button, which says you need to breathe in. What happens then? That happens because of the balance of carbon dioxide and oxygen within the blood. And so that receptor is triggered. It says, do what you need to do, breathe in. What then happens is the tiny muscles underneath your ribs are engaged and they are told to expand. The ribs expand and the lungs inside there can also expand. The diaphragm dips down, and all of that happens. So then the lungs expand too. And as the lungs expand, they create a vacuum. So in my head, I'm like, there's a vacuum cleaner just magically appeared inside the cavities of my rib cage. And what that does is it starts to bring air in, it brings oxygen in, because that's what it's after the oxygen. So it brings that in through either your nose or mouth. Now, many studies have shown that breathing through the nose, number one, it gives you disinfectant, it disinfects the air, it warms the air, and it moistens the air. It also engages the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest system. So nose breathing, when you have the time and you're consciously aware of yourself doing it, benefits you massively. So if you breathe in through the nose, then you've got that whole filtration system happening. It goes through the upper respiratory tract, and then that goes down the bronchioles and the tubes that lead to your lungs, where it hits these tiny little sacs at the ends of these tree branches, and they hold on to the air and the oxygen, and then magically the oxygen jumps through a cell membrane by turning into liquid, and then appears in your bloodstream, where your bloodstream, pumped by your heart, then takes those cells of oxygen to all of the tissue and skin cells, where it's then used in activity, energy, actions, loving, giving someone a hug, doing something lovely for yourself. You can charge, just like Amanda was saying, when you breathe in, you can imbibe, you can enchant the air that you're breathing in with the qualities that you want to use it for. So it really is a magical process. Then once that's been used, the oxygen's been used, the oxygen then turns into carbon dioxide, which is the byproduct, which then goes back into the bloodstream, all the way back through those, jumps through those tiny little sacs and makes its way out of your body, because that same receptor in your brain tells you to exhale, and your rib cage contracts and shrinks. So breath is a really absolutely magical process to me, and I often lead a whole meditation on the journey of the breath there. But we're going to, for this meditation practice, divide the breath into 3 parts. We're going to look at the in-breath, we're going to look at that flow of air entering the lungs, we're going to look at the retention of that air, where we hold the breath, or we can pause for a moment when the lungs are as full as we need them to be. And then we're going to look at the out breath, so the exhalation. So the oxygen oxygenates the blood. I'm reading from our course notes now, but I think I've already covered the journey of the breath. So we're going to focus on that. And you might find that by adding more complexity to breath, by meditating on the breath, will lead you further into that balm that you can find within the breathing. So we often feel breath moving in through our nose first. We then feel breath perhaps in our chest or in our tummy, and we bring some focus to those areas. So I'm going to lead us into a lovely meditation on the breath. And first of all, I'd just like everybody to take their hands and place their hands on their rib cage just at the side. And I'd just like you to notice your arms and hands move when you breathe in. You don't have to purposely get them to move, but just notice how gentle and subtle that is. Also, this is bringing awareness to you breathing into the back of you, because we often breathe in only to our chest, or we try and fill up our tummy. To bring awareness to the back of our rib cage improves our breath health enormously, because it's not just giving us the front of ourselves to breathe into, it's also giving you the back. So if you are even leaning up against the back of the chair when you're practicing the breath, just also bring your awareness to the back of your body and how breath is affecting you. and then how that's changing things for you. So I'm going to put a lovely piece of music on, and I'm going to lead us in a meditation on the breath. What's that? And this track is one of the many tracks that you'll find in with the resources for the Guided Minds Teacher Training Program. And this is the C. Just make sure you can all hear. Have I put the sound sharing on? No, there. And give me a thumbs up if you can hear the music. Great. And you can still hear me. Lovely. So we're going to go into it. We're going to feel that calm and that peace resonate within us all through the meditation on the breath. So as we begin the meditation, I'd just like you to draw your awareness to how you're sitting. Feet firmly on the ground, or if you're sitting, comfortably resting. Feeling the ground beneath your feet. This is your grounding moment. The breath meditation is a grounding meditation because it's all about our physicality and how the breath moves through us. And then I'd like you to bring your attention to your knees and hips. Just to check in that they're in a comfortable position, and also a position that brings around that natural curvature of the spine. Position that you can adjust your hips to make sure they're slightly tilting back and that your pelvis is raised. And making any adjustments you need to on the way. Moving up now to the spine. Have yourself a bit of a sway from left to right. Check that balance. We're stacking ourselves up like pebbles on the beach. Stable and strong. And then come to rest with the spine in a very natural position. There should be very little muscle intervention to keep you nice and balanced here. And then, yes, we'll move to allow the shoulders to hang. The shoulders are also in this balancing act. And as you're breathing, you should notice a sense of relief around the shoulders. You'll also notice some micro adjustments automatically being made by your subconscious mind, which really is encouraging you to be in the most perfect posture to experience the wonder of breath meditation. You'll notice that your breathing is also automatically and easily become soft and gentle through the nose. And so you allow your head to create a light and free feeling, so that it can move at any point very freely, releasing tension. You can do that by imagining that you're balancing a lemon on the crown of your head. And then you find that actually the lemon just rests there with no strain in your neck or your head. And then we come to the eyes. leaving them slightly, ever so slightly open. This again brings you presence and grounding to your meditation, allowing you to feel the calm and bliss of this meditation, and yet having the external world with you at the same time. And this is a practice that will help you when you leave the meditation and you carry on your daily life with your eyes open wider. You know that you can have this calm and peace with you, even whilst the eyes are open. And so now we'll go into the meditation on the breath from all of the parts of the breathing that I explained to you. I'd like you to follow the journey of the breath in the 3 parts. If you can, I'd like you to begin by focusing on the in-breath. Noticing the feeling within you as the breath comes in. Maybe you're concentrating on the feelings as the breath comes in the nose. And if you are, you'll also notice as you follow the journey of the breath, you become aware of the other parts of the body that the breath makes its way through. And how on the in-breath, the body makes space and the body makes room for you to bring in everything that you need from the air. For a few minutes, I'm going to leave you with the in-breath. Remembering to keep your eyes slightly open so that you don't drift too far within yourself, so that you're still aware physically of the body and how the body's feeling. So just notice now the body and how it's changed, how there's a feeling of lightness and ease all the way through the body. This breathing exercise brings in calm and allows it to diffuse through the muscles, through the mind. And I'd like you now to meditate on the moment when the in-breath becomes the out-breath. So the moment when you're breathing in, you're taking in, and there's a gap, there's a space, there's a meeting point between the in-breath and the out-breath. A space between receiving and giving. A still point using your body to feel into this still point rather than thinking your way into that moment. Allow it to be felt in the body. The rise of the body and the expansion of the ribs. And the release, the moment between the two. Feel that in the body. There's no need to calculate or to pinpoint a specific moment, but to feel it. With your inner sense. And I wonder if you can bring yourself to extend that moment, perhaps, if you're comfortable enough to do so. The in-breath. And when you reach the satisfaction of inhaling, just pause with that for a few moments and notice how your body responds. You'll feel the signal from the body letting you know when it's time to let go. And when you do let go, you can send out anything you want with that exhale. And when you hold in that moment, in the betwixt and between of the breath, you allow anything that needs to get ready to leave through the exhale. And I'll allow you a few minutes to meditate on the still point. That's really beautiful. Allow that meditation to carry on. Feeling the moment when your body gives you the signal to let go. And knowing that all of this happens whilst you're present and fully grounded in the body, you can feel your feet against the ground, your spine aligned, your shoulders are rested and balanced, allowing your neck to be long, your head to be free. And now we'll move into the exhale, meditating on the exhale. Noticing that the rib cage falls. And you've already felt the body give you that signal to let go. And feeling the release and the cycle of release as you breathe out. We have breathed in and we have created. We have held on and we have sustained and we have released and transformed with our breath. Just focusing on the exhale now and see how long you're exhaling for. Maybe notice, is your exhale just as long as your inhale? I wonder if it's possible for you to exhale maybe a little more, allowing more release. I wonder if you place one hand on your chest and one hand on your tummy. If you can feel the rise of the inhale, the holding and the release, and feel your hands move and drop down as you release the air. And if you can, just see if you can let them go down just a little bit more before you breathe back in. What do you notice about your exhale? The depth of the exhale, the speed of the exhale, the volume of what you're letting go of. And just a few minutes now to observe the entirety of the breath, the whole breath now. The whole of the breath as one, releasing, filling, sustaining, the whole of the breath as one. The whole of the breath as one. Lovely. That's lovely. Remembering to keep your eyes slightly open to maintain your presence and groundedness. And now, having looked at the breath as one whole, I'd like you to just open your eyes fully when you're ready and notice that you still carry the feeling from that breath meditation with you. And I'd like you to share exactly what that feeling is for me in your own way, however you can. Bliss. It is a bliss feeling, isn't it? Yeah. How's everyone else feeling? Good. Jay's good. I know, right? Light and floaty. It's like when I do a sound bath, at the end of the sound bath, if I ask people how they are, they're often just grinning at me. They don't open their mouth. Thank you. Stillness and calm. Yeah, lovely. Thank you very much, everybody, for sharing that. So, one of the best ways to keep stress under control is to build the habit of taking breath breaks. So we did about 10 minutes there. And they don't have to be that long. In fact, it only takes about 3 minutes to start to receive the benefits. And as we've had tonight's practice on the breath, if you only do 3 minutes, you will return to the same feeling that you have now after 3 minutes, because the subconscious remembers the depth that you've been to before. It's a habit. This is why we practice meditation regularly, to build a habit, because it just becomes a normal practice that we return to, and our body knows that it can get there, our mind knows it can get there, and our soul knows that it's time to be nourished with that meditation. The breath is always with you. No matter where you are, you can always access it. Even just becoming mindful of the breath out and in as you go about your day, like we've done tonight, or when you're driving or traveling, it can bring about elevated levels of focus and concentration. Okay, so I would like you all now just to have a little bit of a stretch. Breathing in and opening your arms wide, and breathing out and giving yourself a big hug. And a well done. And I'd like you all to make a promise to yourselves that you are going to practice this nourishing and beautiful breath meditation daily going forward. Okay, would anybody like to share anything before I end the recording? Good. I'm going to end recording, and I'm just going to let Amanda speak a little bit, because I'd like her to talk to us about the teacher training as well, if you're